My name is Samir, and I'm a product manager at Maplesoft. And it's my absolute pleasure to give everyone a sneak peek of what we have planned in Maple 2024. This time of year is always exciting for me, even though I've been involved with Maple for a long time, well over a decade. Launch time is always an exciting time for me because I can demonstrate and show everything that we've been working on for the last 12 months and more. So today we're going to have a sneak peek of what we have in store for you with Maple 2024. First of all, I'd like to start off just by demonstrating some of the broad range of applicability of Maple by going straight into an application gallery. I spend much of my time speaking to engineers, scientists, and technical professionals who use Maple across a broad range of disciplines. I might be speaking to an aerospace engineer who's using Maple to analyze the power requirements in a supersonic wind tunnel. I might talk to a chemist who's using Maple to determine reaction kinetics, or I might talk to an electrical engineer who wants to analyze the response of the transfer function of a circuit. Now, each of these people use Maple in different ways. They use different functionality, but they're all using the same package, the same interface. So many of the principles are broadly applicable. There are some people who just use Maple as a scratch pad. So if I click on this, here we have a Maple worksheet with parameter definitions, units, equations. I'm solving equations and I have results. And this is a perfectly valid way of using Maple. There are other people who use Maple to generate interactive applications, and I have an example of that here as well. So here I don't see any equations, I just see a plot and sliders, which allow me to change various aspects of my model. So if I change this slider here, you can see this plot changing. As I said, an aerospace engineer might use very different functions to a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer, but they're all using the same interface, the same functionality that everyone else uses. If you'd like to see more applications, I do recommend that everyone visits the Maple Application Center on our website. There are many more applications that you can download free of charge there. But let's get back to Maple 2024. We'll be releasing more details of Maple 2024 in the coming weeks. We'll update our website with a comprehensive listing of what's new and fresh in the new release. But right now, I just want to give everyone a sneak peek. We've made some really exciting advancements in the interface, units, and other aspects of Maple, such as the signal processing library, the math functionality, and perhaps interestingly enough, we've also utilized the latest advancements in AI in Maple 2024 as well. It'll be very exciting to show you that. First of all, the interface. Now, Maple has a very rich technical document interface. So here I just have a link to a Maple worksheet. I can have text, images, math, tables, animations, and plots all in the same interface. This is a really rich environment which allows you to capture the math that underpins your problem, as well as the documentation as well, the text, the headings, the images, the animations, and other explanatory material as well. I think foremost about in the interface, I do use the context panel a lot as well. So the context panel is this panel here on the right-hand side. And if you click on, say, a matrix, the context panel populates with relevant mathematical functionality. So for example, right now, if I wanted to, I could convert this matrix to a different form just by using items from the context panel. If I have a transfer function here as well, Maple recognizes that this is a rational polynomial in S and gives me new tools for analyzing the stability of this transfer function through the dynamic systems menu in the context panel. So right now I could actually generate a Nyquist plot just with a few clicks. Let's try that again. And there we go. If I import an audio file via a convenient assistant, Maple recognizes that this is an audio file and summarizes the property of that audio file here, but also gives me access to new signal processing tools, for example, analyzing the frequency contents of that audio file. Now, new for 2024, we have a number of exciting advancements. So some of you may be familiar with the command completion and symbol completion menu in Maple. We've actually extended the functionality of that valuable tool to include arguments to functions as well. So for example, if I type in the plot command, open brackets, I now get an argument completion menu that pops up automatically, although you can suppress this if you wanted to, which gives me hints and tips and optional arguments to the plot command. So with this, I can use the arrow keys to say select the first option. If I press comma now, the argument completion menu prompts me for options that would naturally follow. So I might want to set the range. If I hit the comma again, I might want to set the color for the plot as well. So I've set the color argument and let's pick red. There we go. So the automatic argument completion feature is available in many functions in Maple, and it's a great way of learning about the various arguments that are available to many different functions within Maple. Also new in Maple 2024 are scrollable matrices. So for example, here I've generated a random matrix. In prior versions of Maple, it would just show you the top left-hand corner of the matrix, so the first 10 rows and 10 columns by default. But now you have convenient scroll bars which let you browse the whole matrix. There we go. I have row and column headers here, but if you right-click on this, if you don't like them, you can suppress the display of the row and column header. I would like to stress that this is very efficient. If I increase the size of this random matrix, I can still scroll up and down and left and right in this matrix, and it's very responsive, very smooth. This is a great productivity feature. We've made other improvements to the interface as well, and I'm not going to go through them right now, but we've added extra functionality for formatting text. So now we have a new tool for adding a strike-through attribute to text. And some of you may be familiar with this drawing tool. You can insert this via the Insert Drawing menu. And now, with Maple 2024, there's a new arc feature here as well. So this is just a convenient tool which allows you to draw arc segments inside this drawing canvas. Moving on. Units are a big feature within Maple as well. I'd like to show everyone a simple example of units first. So here I'll just load this application here as well. I'm not going to go through the technical detail in this application, but here I have called to a Maple package, thermophysical data. The parameters in this function call have units associated with them. So this temperature here is in kelvins, but using Maple's functionality, I can actually integrate this function between two limits. I've specified the limits with units, and the result pops out with units as well. So units flow from parameter definitions into the equations and straight through to the results as well. And the output unit, I can actually rescale by the context panel as well. So if I just click on the result, I can select a different output unit. That's simple. We're constantly improving the implementation of units within Maple. And new for Maple 2024, we've increased the speed with which you can compute with units. Specifically, you have much faster matrix operations with units as well. So here I'm generating a random matrix with 100 rows and 100 columns. I've appended a unit of a meter squared. In prior versions of Maple, calculating the inverse of this matrix would take a long time. Now with Maple 2024, this is much quicker. It's almost instantaneous. And of course, with the new scrollable matrix, I can scroll up and down and left and right in this matrix as well. Signal processing is an incredibly broad concept used by many different types of engineers and technical professionals. We first introduced the signal processing package, I think a good 10 years ago, and we've been constantly adding new functions and features to the signal processing package version after version. Along with the other tools we have in Maple for analyzing data, for manipulating audio and images, Maple, frankly, is now a very compelling tool for signal processing. Here, for example, I'm importing an audio file, and then I'm generating a spectrogram, and then applying a filter to the imported audio file, and analyzing the spectrogram before and after filtering. New for Maple 2024 is a response spectrum function. If you're not familiar with what a response spectrum is, it's a plot of the peak response of a series of oscillators of varying frequency to the same base vibration. Here I'm importing some data from an accelerometer. There's about 1,000 to 2,000 data points. Incidentally, this data is actually accelerometer data from the El Centro earthquake. Using Maple's plotting tools, I can plot this accelerometer data. And now, with a response spectrum function, I can calculate the maximum response of this accelerometer of a series of harmonic oscillators to this accelerator data. So if you're at all interested in this functionality, you're probably familiar with plots such as the absolute acceleration response spectrum, the pseudo velocity response spectrum, the relative displacement plots, but all of this functionality is available within the response spectrum functionality. Maple is also a great tool for generating plots and visualizations, and this is something I'm really excited about. Um, you can produce some very simple plots within MapleFlow, and you can produce some really captivating visualizations within MapleFlow as well. And what I've done in the past is that I've played about with some of the options. So, for example, this is what a basic out of the box default plot might look like. But if you add in command line options, you can make the plot look like this. You can make the plot look like this, like this. And there are many more examples here as well. And these are just optional arguments to the plot command, which just style the plot in different ways. You can also produce your own completely programmatic visualizations as well. And this is some of the work I've done before. So here, this is just a psychrometric plot with the annual weather conditions of Waterloo, Ontario, imposed on it. This is a triangular plot of the color of gold, silver, copper alloys. If you let your mouse hover over any of these points, the composition of the alloy pops up. And this is just a plot of recent earthquakes across the world with the earthquake data being imported automatically from the internet. Now, all of these visualizations were created programmatically, but you have all of this power available to you in Maple. New in Maple 2024 is we've expanded support for color bars. So color bars were a feature that we introduced last year to a small number of plots with a few options. For this release, we've increased the flexibility of color bars, and we've also increased the number of plots that make use of color bars as well. So this is a spectrogram, and now you can see a color bar on the right-hand side, which appears by default, giving the power of the data inside the spectrogram. Now, one of the reasons why people keep on coming back to Maple year after year is the strength of the math engine as well. Maple has very strong, in fact, world-leading symbolic and numeric solvers covering virtually every area of mathematics. And this is just a very simple example of Maple's symbolic math functionality. We extend this mathematical functionality year after year with improvements to existing functions and new mathematical functionality as well. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but we have better handling of parameters in the solution to solve. We have a new pattern matching algorithm for definite summation. We've improved simplify, which is a core Maple function which many people use. And there are many other improvements here as well. We'll demonstrate more of this functionality in the coming weeks when Maple 2024 is actually launched officially. But there's lots there. There's lots to get your teeth sunk into. Now, I'd like to move on to AI now. We've introduced the concept of AI for the first time in Maple, and this is something that we're really excited about. I think this will be a building block for a much deeper, much richer use of AI in Maple in the future. If you've been looking carefully at my screen, on the left-hand side, we have an AI formula assistant. This allows you to search for scientific, engineering, or technical formulae. So you type in a query here. Once you click on search, Maple queries a large language model and returns appropriate formulae here. There's usually a range of formula that are returned. And using this button here, you can usually insert the formula straight into your Maple worksheet to work with straight away. Now, here are some examples of what the formula assistant will do. So here I've searched for the deflection of a cantilever with a point load. The AI formula system returns the appropriate equation here. Here I've asked for a correlation for the psychometric properties of humid air. And the AI formula assistant actually returns a sensible answer, something I can use straight away. It describes the parameters in the formula, the units they're expected in. And if I click on Insert Formula, it's easy to start working with that formula straight away. This is really useful and really exciting. It's not perfect, though. I think it's prone to the whatever's good and bad about AI and large language models at the moment. So sometimes it might not give you a sensible answer. So there does need to be some due care and attention. But I think the flexibility and the robustness of these AI systems will grow linearly in the future. They'll become more and more robust, more concrete year after year. Now, along with the AI formula assistant, we've also introduced a natural language package. This gives you programmatic access to the technology between the AI formula assistant. So here I've loaded the natural language package. It exposes a number of functions. Here I've asked the getMath function to get an equation which calculates the surface area of a cylinder. It returns the appropriate equation here. Here I've asked the getMath function to return the resistance of 5 resistors connected in parallel. This is a natural language query, and it returns the appropriate formula here. There are other commands in the natural language package as well. So, for example, the explain command is useful for explaining general technical concepts. Here, I've asked the natural language package to explain what a fast Fourier transform is, and it just returns some text which describe in plain language what FFTs are. So, as I said, I see the use of AI in Maple 2024 as actually a building block for a much richer, much more robust use of AI in Maple in the future. Now, that brings me to the end of this sneak peek